Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Super Subs Podcast. Your host, Harish and Narvin Amatia. So this weekend was international break, no club games. I actually wasn't really able to catch any of these games. Watched the Portugal one slightly, so saw the Ronaldo bicycle. Pedro Neto had a great game.
Bruno
But
Fernandez had a banger too.
oh, he did, yeah. Um, but other than that, I didn't really watch much this weekend. Um,
Neither did I.
were you
Same,
able to
bro.
catch any?
No.
I will have to give another shout out to we've been talking about him a little too much, but I'm just trying to speak it into existence, hopefully see him in the Premier League. But Victor Gyökeres,
Hit a
another
quadruple?
another stellar performance, 4 goals, putting him at 39 um, in terms of goals and
Impressive.
assists. So very impressive. Uh, I mean, it was a weak opponent, but still
hmm
in Azerbaijan. Um, did you want to give a shout out to anyone or anything? Or
just a hopefully a quick recovery for Lindelof. I know his injury looked kind of bad. Um, and I know we usually start off each episode with a super sub, but since it was kind of an international break and we laid off, I guess if I had to pick a super sub, it's gonna
Mhm.
be the new man in town, Ruben Amorim. See if he can work his magic with United.
Interesting. Right now, maybe we'll claim him as a sub. We'll see if he turns into a super sub. Yeah, it was cool to see him in training already. It was funny that y'all couldn't get his visa sorted out for him to start working immediately, but
I will say though, our players, like I think it was a couple players, but like Rashford and Casemiro, you guys need to just chill with the social media, like posting like right after training. They're like top training session. Rashford was like top training sesh, or he's like amazing training session. And I'm just like, you guys are the reasons all these managers are getting sacked. Like y'all just need to do your talking on the field. Like it kind of just irks me. It's like that's your job. Just we don't need to hear about it.
I could see it from their side though, because they're going from a pretty fraud of a manager to potentially a legit manager, so maybe it is like a huge night and day.
Casemiro said this had the same tweet with Ten Hag though. So I'm
Oh,
just
did
like,
he? Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah. Well, Casemiro himself is a fraud, so. But it was funny to see some of the videos that y'all social posted.
You see he was
See,
playing that right wing back.
nah, who was it?
Anthony.
Ooh, dude, I could see that.
I
I saw
think
I saw Anthony. He posted on social media uh, where it was like an advert partnership with Puma, I believe. That had me rolling on the floor, dude. Like, he was just like what, maybe jogging 30 meters, and then his shorts all pulled up like Ronaldo, and then he would do this like dribble move and then shoot it and score. But it was like terrible shot. It would like bounce right in front of the keeper, and like I was like, this is so
he's
goofy.
a fool. Like I know I died when you were telling me about his story when he got stretchered off in that Europa League game. I was like, oh man, his time's really up. And then you're like, he just sprained an ankle. Stretchered off for a sprained ankle.
Dude, he was crying like his career was ended or something.
For real. Yeah, but that was
Uh,
like my hot take when Ruben Amorim took charges. I said I could possibly see Anthony having a
mhm.
bigger role. Like I think that wingback role might suit him in all honesty. But I saw he also liked your boy, former Chelsea man, Mason Mount.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Your socials was posting a lot of him and Amarin kind of showing love to each other
hmm
first day of training. As much as we kind of laugh at Anthony and it is funny, I do hope we get to see him return to his form because I mean at Ajax he looked different. Um and just like confident too,
Yeah.
taking
He
on
would.
players.
hmm That was the biggest thing, taking on players at Ajax, and that's the one thing he's struggling at in the Prem.
Hmm. But yeah, that's cool to see him potentially having a different role. Um, I wonder how that impacts Dallo.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Dallas should be starting. But if we ever need rotation, I think we have a lot of players that will suit the role.
But who do you guys play this weekend? I'm sure we'll touch on, games to watch later on, but
We got Ipswich.
yes, that's right. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a fun game.
Hmm.
Especially because, some of these smaller teams usually do well after international break just because a lot of them stay back with the club
Yeah,
team.
exactly.
All right. Well, you know, no super subs really, but we will move on to like the main segment today. We'll try to,
Sorry, real quick. I know one
yeah.
super sub for you. Mbappe being left out of Real Madrid. So then Chelsea man Nkunku getting the start over him for the French national team.
Oh, that's right. And they had a pretty big game during this international break as well,
Yeah, that was one of the big
against Italy.
news. Mbappe getting left out of the squad. I think it's just he needed like a mental rest. I don't know. Um, Obviously he'll be in the squad for like the other big games coming up, but this one got left out, and I just saw a lot of people saying that France looked like they actually look like a unit, like all 11 working for each other.
Rather than just trying to play through
Exactly.
Mbappe. Yeah.
Mhm.
Kind of makes sense. An upset was also I didn't get to watch this game, but Belgium versus Israel.
Belgium
Uh
lost.
yeah, Belgium lost. Israel won 1-0.
Jeez.
But I mean, Israel's had a couple decent results this year. They tied France as well in the Nations League. They almost beat Italy, lost 2-1. So they've had a close couple of close games.
Interesting.
But all right, so now we'll move on to the main segment. Um, and so to the listeners, I think one of our earlier episodes we did like a draft where Narv and I picked um drafted like the best transfers that we think from this year and try to create like the best 11. What we're gonna do today is working together to try to create the best 11. The criteria for the pool of players that we can choose from is Premier League players that are outside, that play for a team that's outside the usual top six clubs. So those top six clubs will be Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea, uh, Tottenham, Liverpool, and Arsenal.
I like that.
uh,
Hey, top
so
six. That's us. We made the cut.
yeah, this is the only time y'all will be in the top six like categories. So those are top six. We can't choose players from there, but we'll try to create the best 11 from outside those teams. And it's not necessarily like who we think are gonna like uh who's gonna do the best rest of the season or who's gonna have the best career. And it's based on these first set of games, who's looked the best and who deserves to be in the combined 11.
So this is like
Based
the when we did the combined 11 for the US, we have to come to an agreement.
correct. Yep. I will say this one will probably not come to such an easy consensus like the US just because I think that one there were smaller pool to choose from.
For sure.
But again, we're trying to keep these episodes a little short. I know we've gone over like 2 hours in the past, so try to keep it shorter. But nonetheless, we will start with the most important position on the pitch, the goalkeepers.
Or
Um,
former goalkeeper, I'll let you have this pick, but I really just had two names for this position was just Hermanson or Aaron Ramsdale.
those were the only two names you had.
Yeah.
Wow.
As in
Okay.
like the underrated. out of top six.
You're doing no, we're selecting the best 11 based on the best performances they've had in the first 11 games. It's the best 11. So you think
Yeah.
those two?
Yeah, because I had a lot of other players from like other teams, but I didn't want like I was trying to do it where I didn't have like a lot of repeat teams as well. Um,
Okay. Well, for me, it was pretty easy who to choose. I had to go with the Nottingham keeper in Cells. I
mhm.
thought he's been incredible this season. I mean, even the game just against us, he's he basically saved that point for Nottingham. Um, and I think he's been arguably one of the better players for Nottingham as well.
Yeah,
So I have to go
I'm in
with Matt
agreement with that.
Sells.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Ramsdale was an interesting shout there.
I feel like his in terms of actually shot stopping, he's actually had a lot of good saves. Like him
Hmm.
and Hermanson, the quality of saves they've made is quite high, but it's just, I mean, obviously playing in a below par team, um,
Hmm.
they're profound to get scored on quite a bit.
Interesting. Yeah. I thought the Leicester keeper as well was an interesting shout. Um, that's a name that I had as like a backup and potential like substitute
Mhm.
in our combined 11. But I think Sells is like the standout keeper this year, just based on
Yeah,
some performances.
yeah, that's fair. He's had a few games where he's played out of his mind. So
Hmm. All right, and so we'll move on to defenders, but we'll also mention again, we're gonna play a 4-3-3 formation. Um, so we'll just keep that in mind. So moving into the back line, do you want to start with left back?
yeah, we can start with left back.
Okay. My left back, I had two options here. I had, I think the best left back this year has been Lewis Hall, and then my second option was Kirkez.
Okay. Mine, those are very good shouts because one of my left backs as well, was Kirkez from Bournemouth. I'm a huge fan of his game. And then the other left back was Anthony Robinson.
Interesting. So who would you have as like your starting Robinson?
Yeah, I would put Robinson as a starter. Then who would you pick? Lewis Hall.
Yeah. Well, actually, now that I think about it, there's probably one other player I'd put above Kirkez that it just completely blanked. I completely blanked until literally just now
Mhm.
is uh Lucas Digne.
Oh, yes.
I
Because
think
he's kept
he
Madison out the squad.
yeah, I think I would have Digne over Lewis Hall potentially.
Ooh.
Um Villa, like their back line's been pretty good this year. Um and yeah, to your point, he's been able to ward off like Ian Matson from his starting role. And
Mhm.
Digne going forward too is has been a threat. So I might have him over Lewis Hall, but then Lewis Hall as well, like defensively, the way he was able to shut down Sancho, Pedro Neto when we played against him. Um, Pedro Neto ran all over Livermento, but couldn't do the same on Lewis Hall for that kind of short period. And then he literally shut down Baki Osaka uh,
Mhm.
for Arsenal. So
And I
I
think
think.
it's because of his performances. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to be expecting him to get called up for the England squad. Um,
Mhm. So this is a tough one. I think I might actually go with go with Lewis Hall for this one.
Yeah, I'd be fine with Lewis Hall. That was a name I completely blanked when I was going through making this list, but as you brought it up, I think he deserves that spot.
Yeah, I think defensively he's been a little more um, solid than Digne. I think both going forward offer something, but defending Lewis Hall is kind of locked down.
Yeah.
Um, so go with him. But shout out to so who would you want as our kind of substitute or backup there?
I guess since we both had Kirkez, we can have him as like a shout out or backup.
Okay. Um, but yeah, main objective today is just starting 11.
Mhm.
We'll move on to, do you want to go into center back or
Yeah, let's get a center back.
okay.
You want to do just one center back each and then or should I give both mine?
Yeah, give both your center backs.
All right. So my starting pair center backs I had was Milinkovic from Nottingham and then Marcos Senesi from Bournemouth. Um, and one shout out I wanted to give was to Murillo, who's also Nottingham.
Mm. Yeah,
But out of those two, Senesi is going to be the one I'll fight for hard to keep on.
interesting. Okay, I had kind of similar uh thinking as well. I had my starting pair was gonna be Mark Gahey and Van Hecke from Brighton. Uh, Brighton started out really slow defending, but I mean, if you think about it, in their past however many games, they've held City to one, Liverpool to two goals, Wolves to two, Newcastle to zero. Van Hecke's been that one constant in there. He's had to kind of change partnerships with Lewis Dunk, the fraud Igor as well. So, and he had Holland in his pocket, dude. So, and he's got called up to play for the Dutch team as well. So he was my kind of lock. And then Mark Gahey, yeah, Palace has really been struggling, but defensively they've been okay. It's going forward. They've only scored what, 7 goals this year. That's not going to cut it, but I mean they've only conceded 15. Mark Gahey is a huge reason for that. Um, and then real quick before I let you go, uh, I also had Senesi, but as a like my second option.
Okay. Yeah, Van Hecke, I think he's a really good shout. Especially the games that he was off injured, you could definitely see the impact. Like you
Hmm.
mentioned, um, like when Adam Webster had to fill in or Igor just is
Yeah.
kind of disastrous. So you can see the importance. Um, Gahey, I feel like he's been pretty good, but I think he's dropped levels just a little bit
He has
compared to
slightly.
last season. Um, and then Senesi, I think he's just crazy underrated. And I had to pull his stats, and his stats, like defensive stats, were like off the chart. Is
Yeah,
wild.
no, Senesi is super underrated. Um, so I agree with he goes kind of under the radar.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, feel free to share your stats.
Yeah, I
What
had
you're looking at.
uh his tackles in the defensive third was 22.22 per 90, which is 99 percentile among center backs. Um, dribblers he tackles uh is 1.28 per 90, which is 92nd percentile among center backs. And then his tackles and interceptions total per 90 is over 4.5, which is also 99 percentile. So defensively, he's just crazy solid. And I feel like he's kind of like the heart of that defense.
Yeah, and especially playing on the side with like Kirkez too, who loves to bomb forward and always there to cover up. Um, so I'm not mad about that shout either. Um, but for me, yeah, I can see Mark Gahey. It's a little unfortunate because I think he's been amazing. If he didn't have the year he did last year, kind of his, even the past 2 years where he's kind of broken out, if he didn't have those years, this would have been the year that everyone would be talking about him. Because he's still playing amazing. It's
Mhm.
just he set the bar really high. Oh,
That's fair. You also had like a change of partnership, which isn't
hmm.
always easy to settle into. I
Yeah,
mean,
with Anderson.
I
Anderson's
know,
solid too.
yeah, he's good. And
And
that
that's a
last,
player I forgot to mention that we probably need to give him a shout out
yeah,
for at Fulham. He's kind of changed that defense around.
yeah, and Gahey, I felt bad last game, I think, when he got stuck in playing in the midfield and
Hmm.
almost like that CDM role. So,
But out of my parent, I feel like we need to keep Van Hecky in there based on like yeah, he's been injured here and there, but like when he plays, he's been
mhm.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm happy with Ben Hecky and then Senesi as the other.
Especially with Senesi can play on the left side and
Yeah,
then Van Hecky on the right.
perfect.
Nice. All right. So now let's move on to right backs. Real quick, I just wanted to give a shout out. I know we're just doing top six, but I think this year Mazraoui has been absolutely incredible for United, and he might be like their best player so far. But I know we're not doing top six, but just
Mhm.
want to give him a shout out because I think he's been possibly one of the best right backs in the league.
I think if we did like a Premier League combined 11, I think he could sneak into this list as the starting right back.
Agreed. Yep. But outside your top six, who are you picking here?
This one, um, this is a player I actually would like at United too, but he's kind of older now. Crystal Palace man, Daniel Muniz.
Hmm.
I think he's a really great defender, going both ends, offensively and defensively. Big workhorse for the team as well.
Yeah, for me, the player I selected was from West Ham, though I think one bright spot of that team this year has been Wan-Bissaka. Um, I think he's looked really good. Um, like when they played United, I thought he was straps on that side. Um, I know we destroyed West Ham, but uh, everything was kind of coming down our left. Um, and like Madueke was eating that game too.
Mhm.
Um, so I know Wan-Bissaka I feel like has been the one constant
For West Ham.
decent for West Ham. Kilman's kind of struggled this year in the center back, and he was a big name signing. He was
Mhm.
solid for Wolves.
Yeah, might be just getting accustomed to the new team.
Hmm.
Yeah, this was a hard one, but then again, this one was a combination of kind of what I've seen Daniel Muniz put out performance wise, and then looking at his stats through the year, they're pretty much like off the charts as well. But it's funny you mentioned Wan-Bissaka because he's my shout out player.
Yeah, I feel like defending wise, um he's always kind of been solid, especially the last like 3 4 years. I'd say he's really improved that game. Kind of before he used to always be out of position and try to rely just on his speed, and sometimes he'd get caught out. But I think that's been solid. But um, I think where he still needs to kind of improve is attacking wise and trying to get some assists or create chances going forward, which I think Muniz has done slightly better.
Yeah. You'd be you'd be good with Muniz as a starting and then shout outs or bench Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, I think so. All right. So now we'll move into the midfield here. I need to go first for one of the midfielders here.
I think this
Uh,
one will be the same as me.
I think Baliba's a lock.
Yep, here's my lock.
Yeah, that one I think I've been saying I love this man. He's due for a big move soon, but I, are we gonna put him at like kind of the CDM role? He'll be the one.
Yeah, that's what I was picturing.
Okay, yeah, but I mean,
I think that was the easiest one of the 11 for me.
oh, same here. That was like that had to be a lock.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, even though he is kind of a CDM, uh, the way he's able to progress the ball, especially at such a young age, and look like so composed is incredible.
Oh, I completely agree. Um, I think the hype around him is a bit like Amadou Onana, but I think in terms of quality, I think he just has more a more ceiling to his game, just considering how young he is.
Hmm. I completely agree. And then in terms of our other two center back or center mids, um, I felt like this one was a little tougher for me.
This one was
But
too, and this one I shifted a player who I think's had a good season, and I put him like a little out of position to this center mid role. Even though he's only played here like a handful of times. And even when he doesn't necessarily start in this role. Um, I had one center mid who I thought could potentially be a lock. Um,
mhm.
and I think he goes under the radar for the team. And you gave him a shout out, I think, on one of our pods recently was
Does he play
but
for Leicester?
no, for Aston Villa.
Villa? Rogers?
Yuri Tillemans.
Oh, I had him as a starter as well.
Okay, yeah, he's one of my starters.
Yeah, I think he's improved a ton this year. And Onana gets a lot of the attention or got a lot of the hype coming into the year, but yeah, I think to your point, he's been the guy that's made the team going.
Hmm. Who was your other center mid that you kind of had in your 11?
All right, so here I had I feel like we have a pretty decent uh like an eight. We have Believa six. So I wanted to try to think of someone that's more can create chances. And I think the one four or midfielder that does that here, I would say is Eze. I had him.
Interesting.
I think
I didn't.
he's wasted a lot of chances, but he's also created a ton. One of the assists of the year, I think, already. But
Yeah, I didn't have Eze. I know that assist was ridiculous. But I didn't have him just because I thought again, like Gahey, I think he's just had slight dip in his performance compared to last season. And it's more so in terms of his finishing ability. I think we just haven't seen that killer instinct yet. Um, like he has a lot of big chances that he misses. Um, but I think he would have to fit into our starting 11 because the player that I had um, for the center mid role was Dwight McNeil. And I know he plays like more of a left mid,
ooh,
but he kind
he
of rotates into center mid at times.
see, I wouldn't be mad at that shout because I had him as my left mid. But if we move him to center mid, then I think I'd be happy to select someone else out there at left mid. Um, but I do think Eze's gone a little under the radar. To your point, he has dipped slightly, but um, I think he's still had a pretty good season so far. And he's missed a lot of really easy chances that he typically would fire like in past seasons. And if he did, I think he's at like one goal only this season. he'd be he should be at like four or five. And this would be a whole nother conversation. And they were like very easy chances that he should have converted.
Yep.
But like outside of those like easy chances that he's missed that we all kind of remember, like if you kind of just remove that, like I think he's looked really good still.
Yeah, and I guess it doesn't help just being in that Palace team where Mateta's kind of had a dip in form, and
Hmm.
it's hard to carry a team such as Palace. No disrespect, but like it's hard to carry that team um when the quality's like not up to par.
But I will say Dwight McNeil has to be a lock on our in my starting 11. The way he's been the one man show for
Hmm.
Everton and he's carried that team. He's really taken that team on his back. And I feel like we have to have him in our team no matter what.
All right, you want to leave this third center mid role blank for now, just because I want
Yeah.
to see what that because I have a left mid shout where I kind of want to make a case for him.
Hmm. Okay. Um, well, let's keep the suspense going. Let's start with striker.
I don't think there's
Um,
a suspense for this one.
oh man, are you going with no good Wood?
No.
Ooh, interesting. All right, let me guess. You're not
It,
going with Chris Wood.
it is a big body, but not Chris Wood. He was my shout out.
Is it Welbeck?
No.
Not Welbeck. It's Delap.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is nice shout. Interesting. So why Delap over Chris Wood or um someone I had over Welbeck is Wissa.
He was on your starting.
So my list
Hmm.
in order were Wissa, then Chris Wood, then Delap, and then Welbeck.
Gotcha. Mine was Delap, uh, Wood up to no good, and then Wissa. So mine was reversed.
Interesting. See, Wissa, he's looked really good when he's played, and it's just he doesn't have the stats just because of his like short period where he got injured. But every time he's played, he's looked amazing. And I mean, per 90, uh, I did most of this based on the eye test. You actually came with some stats. But this was the one player where I actually did look into the stats, and per 90, I think he's one of the highest in the league. Um,
Let's hear him out.
as a forward. Um,
Statman Harish. Let's hear some of them.
so Wissa per 90, he is 0.79 um expected goals per 90. Um, and even though he's only played 569 minutes, sounds like a lot. Uh, he scored seven out of 569 minutes. Holland, his expected goals per 90 is 0.97. So I'm somewhat comparable, and he's played 990 minutes with 11 goals. Uh, and then, I mean, other players that we've like raved about this year, for example, Nicholas Jackson, his expected goals per 90 is only 0.63. And he has six goals in 873 minutes. And these are excluding penalties as well. Um, so I have to go with Wissa just because of how efficient he's been when he's playing. Um, and granted, if he didn't get hurt some of those games and he played three more games, he might be double digits right now
Ah,
in that
now that
second
you mention,
place.
that's a good shout because the reason I had Wissa as like a third candidate was just um because of the injuries. I don't know
Hmm.
if because he missed quite a bit of time. So I didn't know if I should reward him with it. I mean, it's not he can't control his injuries, but I think Liam Delap in a weaker side, he's kind of single-handedly carrying that team. Um, and just as a youngster, the type of finishes he puts on is quite impressive. Um, and so Chris Wood, I think he has a lot of talent around him. And I think Brentford as well. They're really good team like structurally, whereas Ipswich, they're still trying to find their way, but Liam Delap is kind of the one player that gives you a consistent performance.
That is true. He's taking his chances, especially with when he doesn't get that many chances as well, and he's still able to bag 7 goals. That is kind of impressive. Um, it's just hard to go against his stats. Wissa. I don't know. I mean, we have to give a shout out to Chris Wood, but I think Chris Wood also is a little lucky in the system he's in, where he's surrounded by playmakers, Hudson-Odoi, Alonga. I mean, those are for his uh strengths, like they play perfectly for him. So I think he's lucked out a little in that system. I mean, granted, he's does finish his chances, but um and then Welbeck, I just wanted to give him a shout out just because of how well he's been playing this year. Um, but I think it is, yeah, to your point, between Wissa and the lap.
You want to leave this empty space for now too and come back to it? Give it
Yeah,
more thought while
unless we
we
want to go with a 4-4-2,
4-4-2.
since we had Tillemans and uh Baliba in the middle.
I wouldn't mind that.
Okay. Yeah, so let's decide on the wingers and then we can come back.
All right.
So with let's start with the left mid.
Let's do
You
right
said
mid because I think the right mid will be a
okay.
consensus.
Will be a consensus?
Yeah.
Ooh. Uh I had a couple in the right. This one was hard.
Oh wow. I thought this one was easy.
Really? Okay. You go ahead first, and then I'll tell you like the order I had.
Oh wow. Okay, so mine was I didn't even have a shout out because I thought this guy would be a almost like believer. This guy was my second like lock in or actually third lock in after Senesi, but I had Wissa's teammate and Buemo.
Okay. Yeah, I had him number one on
Okay.
mine. Um, but this one was a tough one.
Who are your other candidates or shout outs?
Okay, so for this one, I had he's kind of more of an attacking wing, attacking midfielder slash forward, but player for Wolves, I had to fit him in. Can you guess?
Mateus Cunha.
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny you mentioned him because I had to fit him in somehow, so I put I put him at the left mid.
Um, for left mid, I had a lock kind of, so um, but I had Cunha, and then I had my third shout out was Jared Bowen.
Hmm.
He's been the sole creator for West Ham's looked pretty poor, but he's been the one sole creator.
Him and Kudos.
Him and kudos, yeah. But Bowen, surprisingly for how small he is, like it's been impressive how he can play with his back to goal too. Um,
Hmm.
and then my fourth shout out was didn't really want him in my combined 11, but wanted to just give him a shout out was Alonga.
Hey.
But yeah, I had a Mbuemo number one as well for this position.
All right, so he's a lockdown at right mid.
Yeah.
All right, so I know you gave Cunha a shout out as well. Would you be open to putting him in the starting combined 11? Because I really wanted him, but I had him at the left mid position.
I had, I think we have to have Dwight McNeil,
Yeah, I think Dwight McNeil has to slide in somehow.
so he has to go in there.
Uh,
Um,
right.
Either that left mid or another left mid. My number one left mid was Dwight McNeil.
hmm
Um, but he'd fit more into like a 4-3-3, I think. But in a 4-4-2, my second player left mid was Mitoma from Brighton.
Ah, that's a good shout. I just, as good as Matoma's been, uh, I feel like we already have two Brighton players.
Believe in Van Hecke. Yeah, that's true. But dude, Mitoma's been incredible though.
Yeah, I feel like we say it like every episode too is like that he's always just quietly going about his business for
Hmm.
Brighton.
So what's your argument for um
What about if we shift to a 4-4-2, then we put I'd rather have Cunha over Delap. So I wouldn't mind putting Cunha as a striker to partner with
that's fair. So you want a player from the last almost the last place team?
Hey, they've had crazy matchups.
Yeah, Mateus Cunha has been really good.
I think he's destined for a big, big move.
Yeah. I I would like to have him. Um, what about if we go back to a 4-3-3
We're
and
playing
have Cunha?
tactics here, guys. Real
Well, if we go
life.
back to a 4-3-3, would a 4-3-3 be better with Cunha in the center mid, playing right under the
Right under the striker.
striker?
Yeah, I think that'd be his ideal spot.
Okay. And then
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching real life tactics.
and then on the right we'll put in Buemo.
Yeah.
That means on the left we'll put Dwight McNeil.
Yep.
And then up top we'll go with Wissa.
Oh, this one's so hard. Can we make a bench?
Well, I mean, so would you go with so up top you're kind of so you're good so far, and then it's just up top you're kind of struggling between Wissa and Delap.
Yeah.
I
Because
mean, I
literally the only reason I didn't have Wissa was because of his injuries. But then when you read out his stats, that is quite impressive. Um, to kind of be in those caliber of players.
yeah, his expected goals this year, I mean, has been ridiculous, and he's already at 7 just playing 8 games. It's almost a goal a game.
I feel like
Uh,
he's so hard done also because like a lot of the attention, especially is on Embuemo, like getting all the praise.
hmm.
Because
Oh
Embuemo
yeah, for
has
sure.
8 goals. Um, so Wissa being only one behind, despite all the injuries.
Yeah, but Delap too, he's the thing that Delap is really good at is like finishing. Like his
He's a
expected
pure
goal,
finisher. Yeah.
pure finisher. Um, and again, like I didn't really do, I did mostly eye tests for these players, but the forward role was when I did comparisons with stats and just to see if like my eyes were failing me. And the lap, again, he's in a team where they don't create many chances. His expected goals per 90 is only 0.28. So compared to Wissa's 0.79.
Mhm.
But from that, his goals per game or per 90 is 0.69, which is incredible considering he only gets 0.28 expected goals. Um, but then Wissa, on the other hand, I mean, 0.71 expected goals. Yeah, he is more, but then he's scoring 1.1 goals per 90. Um,
Yeah, Delap, the only stats I really pulled up was he's a pretty high. He doesn't look the fastest, but his successful take on rate is actually quite high, 57%, which is among forwards 92nd percentile. And then um shot chance shot creation actions that he creates from drawing fouls is at a 0.58 per 90, which is 92 percentile. Um,
Mm.
so those were pretty impressive. Yeah, this one, I think this might be the hardest one.
Yeah. The lap too. I remember that first game against Liverpool. I had never really heard of this guy, and then I remember asking, I was like, "Who's this Delap guy?" I was like, "He is," and then I just like started getting obsessed with that dude. You're like, "Oh, that's Delap." You said it so casually, and then
Mhm.
he was just he's different. But
I
man,
would say like
Wissa,
that one game uh where Karen McKenna decided to switch and start George Hurst and kind of rest Delap. Um, which game was it? Where Delap hit the crossbar like last minute and they ended up
mhm.
losing. I think that might have been against Brentford.
Yeah, that was against Brentford. Yep, and Buemo
Um,
scored that like curler at the end.
yeah, exactly. Like that was a crazy game just seeing Delap how instant of an impact he can also make coming off the bench.
Yeah, I will say, I kind of left this out just because it kind of hurts my argument with Wissa, but expected like assist created, the lap blows Wissa out of the water. Um, chances created, and I think that goes to kind of that argument you just made where he's sneakily, if that's a sneak, is that a word? Sneakily?
Sneakily,
Sounds like a word. Sneakily.
deceivingly.
Yeah, is sneak? He's sneakingly, right?
I think that's a word.
Okay, yeah, he's okay. Deceivingly, like he is creating chances that you don't see. Like we all know he's a great pure finisher, but he can take players on as well, and get assists. That's kind of missing from Wissa's game, the assist aspect.
Mhm.
Um, but from a pure efficiency wise, man, Wissa can't be stopped. So I don't know. Um,
It's 1-1, 90th minute through on goal. Who would you rather have?
when I close my eyes and picture it, no homo, I'm picturing the lab.
I think so. I think the only game where Delap had wasted chances was that Villa game, but then again, I think that was more than wasted chances. I think those were good saves by Martinez. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think if the lap was on this Brentford team, would his goals tally look better, especially with the expected goals he'd get? Probably. Um, he's already on that. Yeah, I think I'd have to go with it. Ipswich man, Delap. I love that man.
Yes.
I think we have to go with him.
Wiss is definitely on the coming off the bench though,
Oh yeah,
for
for
sure.
show. Um, so I think we have our combined 11.
What formation do we end up with?
We're going with a 4-3-3.
Okay.
All right, so starting from the back, we have Cells in goal and fire. And then our back four, we have Lewis Hall. Uh, we have our left center back, Senese. Right center back, Van Hecke. Right back, we have Muniz. And then in the midfield, we have Baliba, Tillemans, and Mateus Cunha. Mateus Cunha will play right under the striker, who we just decided as the lap. And then left mid, we have Dwight McNeil, who's been carrying Everton. And then on the right, we have Embuemo.
That's a pretty good squad.
I like that combined 11.
Good work.
Yeah. I think maybe another segment we'll have to eventually do is combined 11 just based on the top six teams.
Oh, yeah, that would be rough.
We'll have to do that.
That
Uh,
one, that might be GG for us United boys. Except one position, maybe two.
I will say the goalkeeper.
That's what I was gonna say.
I
Deceivingly.
might have to take back Onana and say or Mazarawi being the best player and might say Onana actually.
Yeah, Onana's been quite good. He's pretty much kept us single-handedly like got us a win a few
Yeah.
times this year. But that'll be yeah, that'll be another segment we definitely will have to do. Um, but yeah, that was pretty tough. It
That
started
was
off kind of
tough.
some of the positions were like on lock, easy consensus, but there were some that was quite hard.
All right. Should we yeah, I enjoyed that. Should we move on to just try to wrap this up? Just games to watch this weekend
Yeah, let's do
and
it.
maybe just predictions for a few. All right, we had to start with Saturday morning game, first game of the weekend back from international break is the Blues, Chelsea. We'll be taking on Leicester. Um, with this one, I have to go with uh, Chelsea. I think we're gonna absolutely dominate this game.
Yeah, it'll be one-sided.
hmm Uh, interestingly, on attack, we are top four, right behind City, Liverpool, and Tottenham Hotspur in terms of expected goals this year. We have 20 expected goals. Uh, Leicester is kind of towards the bottom, and then expected goals against Leicester is top three at 21, and we're
We're top 10
kind of
for
middle.
expected against too.
Yeah, you guys are eighth, so I think it will be kind of a clapping. And then another game from the Premier League on Saturday. This one's kind of tricky, but Arsenal Nottingham.
Ooh. Uh, Arsenal though, they have no more excuses. Um, no more. Oh, we're missing Odegaard. Oh, we're missing Saka.
hmm
Is Gabriel back?
I'm not sure. Um, but Ben White filled in really well in the center back.
Hmm.
But I think this is going to be a very defensive battle. Both Nottingham and Arsenal are very good defensively.
This will be
I think it's
enjoyable to watch in terms of technicians.
agreed. Uh, so I could see this being like a 1-1 game, maybe a two, like a 1-0 win, maybe Arsenal.
Yeah, I'll have to see the lineup, but I think Nottingham could squeak away with the win.
Yeah, I'm giving it to Arsenal just because coming off international break and at the Emirates.
Mm,
So,
yeah, that's a good point.
so what are you going with, you think, for this one?
I love my underdogs, you know.
Yeah,
I'll go with
not,
Nottingham for this one.
I'll go with 2-1 Arsenal. Have to turn the ship around.
I'll say
And
2-1
then
Forest.
2-1-4. Okay. And then the game of the Saturday, City versus Tottenham.
Oh, sorry. I thought there's one more 10 o'clock window, which might be game of the weekend or game of the Saturday. Bournemouth, Brighton. I think that'll be a really
Mm,
enjoyable game to watch as well. Just how informed both teams are.
yeah, that's a good point. Um, that will probably be one of the higher scoring games.
Yeah, I think
Could
so.
see, could see that. And then Tottenham City. This could potentially be another high scoring game too. City have looked a little leaky in the back this year.
They finally secured the um contract of Pep though for another year.
Oh, how long was it? It's just a one more year
Yeah, just a
extension.
1 year extension. Um
Okay. Yeah, I saw him smoking cigars. I was like, this man.
yeah, Pep's a psycho. Um I think City coming off an international break, I think players are well rested now. City have to get this win.
Yeah, I could see this being a really high scoring game, like a total of like 4 or 5 goals. But
I don't think Pep should be experimenting anymore with that center back partnership and I think he just needs to go with what works.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a tough one to call. I'm not sure. I think it's just gonna be a really fun watch though.
Yeah, it'll be enjoyable. I feel like Tottenham always beat City once a year, once a season.
Exactly, yeah. This is at the Emirates though, so uh if we
Oh, you
move
mean the
on.
Etihad?
Oh, did I say that? Yeah, Etihad. Yeah. All these Middle Eastern companies, bro.
Yeah.
Um and then the other game on Saturday that looks kind of, what's the saying? Lip smacking good.
Finger smacking good?
Or is it finger licking? Oh, I
Finger
don't know.
looking.
Chop licking good, whatever that
I
saying
haven't heard
is.
that. No, I haven't heard that term.
Is Juventus Milan
Yeah, that's a spicy matchup.
spicy? Very. Both teams kind of top five for kind of goals created this year. Um, and Christian Pulisic, man, he's been eating for Milan, been the main man, I'd say. And
Captain
even
America.
international break, he scored, continued his form. So
It's still crazy that the US have Pochettino as the head coach.
yeah. Um, there's U.S. men's social was kind of crazy after the game. They're like voted men's sexiest man alive, Pochettino.
What? That's crazy.
It was odd, but we'll see. Juventus, I mean, defensively though, they've been really good. They had the one
Mm.
game where they conceded a ton, but
That's a one-off.
one
Yeah.
off, yeah. Um, I think that's the one game from Serie A that stands out. Any from Bundesliga or La Liga that stands out for you on
Uh,
Saturday?
no, neither of those.
Okay.
I think Barcelona have a pretty easy matchup. Um, in Bundesliga, no, not really. Yeah.
And then,
And then McDonald's League, my
oh
Marseille
yeah.
boys take on Lens, and then your Lyon take on Stadia de Reims.
Okay. Um, and then, well, yeah, we'll just go on Sunday. No need to spend too much time on Liga. Um, we got United versus
Chelsea.
Ipswich.
That's the Women's Super League.
Oh, I was like, what? We play what? That's funny. We will definitely be tuning into that. Uh, but yeah, United, Ipswich at Ipswich is ground. What are you expecting here, Narth?
Um, I mean, paper on paper, we have the better squad. Um, but
Paper on paper.
I think I just made that term up. We're making up all these terms. But I'm just excited in terms of seeing our lineup, how we line up and how we play. Because
Hmm.
Ruben Amorim, on his interview, he said, even if we don't win this first game, he said, the one thing I promise you will see, from the get-go from the first game is an identity. Um, and he said, you'll see an identity and an idea that will excite you. Um, so I'm excited. I think he will bring in how he's played at Sporting. Um, and I think he'll make changes to our starting 11. So we'll see some new faces in there.
Yeah, I'm excited about that, and I think that's what United's been missing. Is that kind of like identity? What is this club about? You see it right now with Maresca at Chelsea. You saw it with Pep, but Amarin, like I think the academy United is building is kind of scary, and Amarin has shown that he wants to build the identity top to bottom, starting with the owners to the youngest guys, the academy, and even the youngest guys can be called up at any time, be ready. So I think that's what United definitely need to turn this ship around.
It was
So,
crazy because, like you mentioned, about the academy, just in the first training session already, he called up a 16-year-old kid. to train with the first team. And he plays this kid. He can play left back, but also like that left center back type role. So
Mm.
that's what he used him for.
Yeah, I saw Euro was at training too,
Yeah, that's good
um,
signs. I don't
passing
know
the ball
if
around.
I think he could start, especially with Lindelof being hurt, but I don't know if he'll be ready for like a full 90 just yet. So we'll have to be cautious.
Um, and then yeah, I expect you guys to score a couple this game. It'll be disappointing if not. It's kind of hard to root against you just because I do like Ruben Amaron. So the Manchester hate watch might be a little over. Um, but till now, you guys still suck until Sunday. And then I guess Liverpool Southampton, just quick shout out. The only other game, Premier League, uh, should be
A blowout.
should be business for Liverpool. Um,
La
and
Liga
then
that day. We'll see if Real Madrid they play a quite a poor team. So we'll see if they can string something together, show some cohesion.
mhm. And then lastly, just Napoli, if they can continue their hot streak with Conte at the helm. They play Roma.
Yeah, the Roma, they fired De Rossi, hired a new manager, fired this new manager, and now getting Claudio Ranieri. So
Hmm.
they're in a bit of a mess.
Yeah, I expect Napoli to pull this one through though. Um, Maybe a comfortable 2-0 win is what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
But
it should be an easy win for them. Yeah, my prediction on Roma was completely off.
it's all right. We'll have to revisit the predictions at the end of the season here.
Halfway through.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds good. But another episode of Super Subs. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to us. Trying to put together our combined 11 outside of the top six Premier League squad.
We'll post it on the Instagram.
Yeah, look
Um,
out for the post.
we should
Um,
probably put like in Spotify like the link to our Instagram too. I don't know if that's like possible. We'll see.
yeah, that should be doable.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't, if listeners, we got an Instagram page, so go check it out. Um, we'll put some posts out there. But until then, thanks for listening to another episode. Peace.